Oh, just there.
Doug, so I know what you asked.
Ryan sitting there. This.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll get the meeting started here right now. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Edmonton West for the April 27th meeting. And we'll start off with O Canada. Somebody with a voice. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
So let me continue the land acknowledgement. We live, we meet, we build community on Treaty 6 lands, which is a treaty between the Crown in Britain, Canada, and First Nations, Cree, Dene, Nakota, Sioux, and so forth. These lands are also homeland to the Métis. We acknowledge all original peoples as they are in the Constitution, First Nation, Inuit, and Métis. As Rotarians, we seek to advance understanding, goodwill, friendship, and peace through the ideal of service, which fits well with the journey of reconciliation.
Thank you, John. I couldn't even get in there before just the introduction, so that's quick. We have some guests with us today. Bob Topaki at the very back table, I believe. Yes. Brad Abbott, our speaker, and Ryan Lee at the front table there. Okay, what am I doing right now? There you go. Okay, April is Environment Month. We figured we'd sneak that in just before the end of the month, so. And we received an award. Annie, you want to talk about it? Well, yeah, but I don't remember very much, so I. The reward.
We were invited to Boyle Street Community Services in their new King Thunderbird Centre to receive an award for all the work we've done with them over the past 10 years. It's a beautiful centre. We're going to try and do some kind of a tour maybe or have a meeting there. But it's a beautiful space. Dan and Cass are the people that help us with the Thanksgiving meal. So it was good to have a tour and see what they're doing. We're going to try and get them to come and talk to us about the new programming that they have there too. So thank you.
Thank you, Annie. You see, nobody wants me to talk forever here, so that's why I bring everybody else up. So. Bruce, you want to talk about our April 25?
Yes. That sort of leads into the volunteer week at the West Edmonton Mall on Saturday. They have an annual event where a number of volunteer organizations can set up their display booths to promote getting volunteers. And District 5370, we have a booth there. So I was wearing my district membership chair hat. Besides myself, there was Mail Taves, who is the public image chair for the district. And actually, Mama came out in the afternoon to help us out. So we had three of us that were there to promote Rotary, not only to our club, but Rotary overall and Rotaracts. So it was a lot of fun. And Fred was there so he can verify we were working hard.
He was.
Anyway, that was all about trying to get people interested in Rotary, and we took a few names. So we're gonna follow up with them to see if we can get them into some club in the district. Hey.
Thank you, Bruce. And just before we go for lunch, I want to mention about the golf tournament coming up. It is close. For those of you who think with the snow on the ground that it's a long time away, it isn't. It's we're 2.5 months. So we're requesting from each of our members 2 bottles of good quality wine, not that bathtub stuff that some of you brew at home. Each of the bottles of wine has to be a minimum of $20, and then we'll put it on the live auction and part of the silent auction at the golf tournament.
Take rhubarb wine?
I'll drink it. I'll drink it. Yeah, dandelion wine, yeah. Also, we have the people who've already donated, Ben and Marley, Spencer and Annie, Myrna today, and Al Sanderson and myself. So those of you who are not on the list, please get your wine to me as soon as you can. Also, we have this plethora of liquor at the front here.
Yes.
And no, the idea is not to drink it all before the end of this meeting. That is for the golf tournament, for the live auction. There's also an iPad there, some theater tickets, a 3-liter of Jack Daniels, 3-liter of Crown Royal, 2 1.75 liters of Grey Goose. And that's just portion of them. There's at least 3 bottles of scotch we have going on the silent auction as well. So there seems to be a liquor theme about this all. Yeah.
Know your audience.
Yeah, that's your audience. Okay, so we'll start with lunch and we'll start with the front table here and everybody else can follow. And thank you.
All right. Great.
That's.
And she was found. Was we felt straight with the ball brickings of city bureaucracy. Yeah, but you know, we have to, I look at that as part of the game. I know. I don't tell, but I do like to think about. Oh, I do. Yeah, no, I do. Yeah, the other time. Yeah, no. It doesn't always appear. Last night, there's been a couple of games there. People will think it's good, but what they're gonna do. Yeah. Really, never going to like it. That's it.
Okay, we'll get on with the rest of our meeting. And we'll have Al Sanderson come up and introduce our speakers today.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Ryan Lee. And Ryan graciously sent us a very long, detailed introduction. So I wish I could read the whole thing, but it would take up the whole time here. So we have somebody who knows a little bit about ChatGTP who have to put all that stuff into there, and we got a great summary. So that's what I'm going to use. So anyway, it's my pleasure to introduce Ryan Curtis Lee, he's a distinguished curator, museum professional with a wealth of experience in collections stewardship, exhibition development, and public history. Ryan's been a driving force behind the Alberta Aviation Museum since 2020, when he led a team of individuals in preserving and sharing the rich history of aviation. And I'm just going to put a plug in here for the museum. If you haven't been there, you are really missing something. It's a world-class aviation museum. So if you haven't seen it, go and see it. With an academic background in nautical archaeology and anthropology, Ryan's career has been dedicated to the meticulous care of historical collections. He's recognized for his ability to manage complex collections, like this one, interpret artifacts, and create engaging, thought-provoking exhibitions. Ryan's work extends beyond the artifacts themselves. He's known for crafting experiences that make history come alive for all kinds of audiences. And when you go there, you can see that there's all, right from little kids all the way up to people our age who go and see that thing. In addition to his curatorial work, Ryan's developed institutional policies that uphold professional standards and guide museum practices, ensuring the preservation of history. His leadership at the Alberta Aviation Museum has allowed him to foster collaboration, build strong community ties, and advance the institution's mission of education and preservation. So today, Ryan's going to share his insights into the museum, give us a glimpse into the role of preserving history, and provide an interesting look ahead, sharing some on the museum plans and its vision for inspiring and educating generations to come. Please help me welcome Ryan.
Thank you. Okay. So talk to my phone, then I'm bringing it with me. Don't want to talk forever. Yeah, my name's Ryan. I work at the Alberta Aviation Museum. I started there as a volunteer in 2014 because I needed something to do to get out of my house, and one thing led to another, and I'm still there. So just quick show of hands, how many people have been to the Aviation Museum? No judgment. Okay, awesome. That is well above the record of any other room that I would ask. Those people, when you ask, have you been to the Alberta Aviation Museum, they say, you know, I've driven by it, and I've lived in Edmonton for 25 years, and I always see the planes, but I've never stopped there, which is something we're trying to change. So the Aviation Museum broadly defines itself by our mission and vision. So our vision is to share Blatchford's aviation stories, shine a spotlight on Edmonton as a gateway to Northern Alberta and the world. And we try to be an active community partner, stewards of Edmonton's aviation history, provide a dynamic visitor experience, and share stories about the role of aviation in building our community. So the museum has been around, you know, in one form or the other, I'm going to say since 1991, which is when we opened. It's older than that, but, you know, since we've been an active museum, we've gone from collecting anything aviation related we can get our hands on to narrowly focusing on what it means to be an aviation museum in Edmonton. Do we focus on just aviation in general, or do we want to tell Edmonton's story? Okay, sorry. Yeah, if anybody can't hear me, just yell at me, interrupt me. Feel free to ask a question. If I say something wrong, which I'm known to do, feel free to interrupt me as well. So I would talk for 12 hours on Edmonton's aviation history, which I won't do. So I'll just go through some 4 random stories just to talk about what aviation means to Edmonton. So on the left, we have Wap May, who was a Rotarian. He is obviously Edmonton's most famous aviation personality. So he learned to fly in World War I. He initially was an infantry soldier, became a pilot. In one of his first combat missions, he ended up tangling with the Red Baron and almost got killed by the Red Baron. During that attempt to get away from the Red Baron, his buddy ended up chasing the Red Baron, helped shoot him down with some Australian anti-aircraft fire. Luckily, he survived, came back to Edmonton, was very passionate about very passionate about aviation, and wanted to get aviation started in Edmonton. So he petitioned the city for an airport, petitioned the city to buy an airplane, and he was really quite involved in getting aviation off the ground in Edmonton. So anything that's aviation related in, say, the first half century of the 1900s, Wap May has his hand in it. Catherine Stinson is an American. She came to Edmonton in 1917 and 1918. She was the fourth woman in the United States to learn to fly. Long story short, she wanted to take classical piano lessons in Europe, which was very expensive, and she found out that you could make $1,000 a day as a barnstormer in 1912. Not 1912 adjusted for inflation today, actually $1,000 a day in 1912, which is an insane amount of money. So she said, that sounds good, I'm going to do that. So she became a barnstormer. She came to Edmonton and Calgary in the exhibitions and did demonstration flights. And she also flew the first airmail from Calgary to Edmonton in 1918. So she had a custom-made aircraft that was one of a kind that was made for her, which is what she's standing in front of, and that's what she used to deliver airmail. She wanted to be a military pilot, but of course, you were not allowed to be a military pilot as a woman in 1918. So she ended up going to Europe and volunteering as an ambulance driver, got extremely sick, got tuberculosis, moved back to the States. They told her to move to the desert. She moved to New Mexico, stopped flying, and became a world-renowned residential architect and stopped flying. So she kind of disappeared from history books a little bit. But yeah, she was one of the early flight demonstrators in Edmonton. Another woman in the third panel is Margaret Littlewood. She was from Ontario. She became a commercial pilot and a flight instructor. But during World War II, civilian flying was largely shut down across the country because of rationing, saving parts and gasoline for the war effort. So she wanted to continue as a flight instructor, but couldn't get a job because the general perception was that the men learning to fly would not want to be taught by a woman who was already an experienced pilot. So the only person that would hire her was Watt May, who ran No. 2 Air Observer School here in Edmonton. So he gave her a job as a link trainer instructor. So the little tiny airplane that's behind her is actually a flight simulator. Now, if you imagine a flight simulator from 1943, it's not a computer, doesn't have any graphics, but it has every single system of an aircraft simulated. It's all run on vacuum tubes. Essentially, the person that built it developed pipe organs. So he used all that pipe organ technology to drive all of the instruments. So some of them are pneumatically driven, some of them are electrically driven. You shut the hood and it teaches the pilot to fly on instruments alone.
What was her name? I missed that.
Margaret Littlewood. Margaret Littlewood. Yeah. So as you're flying the simulator, a signal is transmitted through a wire to a device that sits on a map table with a grease pencil, with a piece of glass over top of the map. And that grease pencil traces the path of the aircraft as it flies. So the instructor can sit outside, monitor their path, give them instructions to say, okay, turn left, heading 030 degrees. It vastly improved safety because before that, in the 30s, a lot of people were crashing, flying into mountains, getting lost at night in terrible conditions. So she was the only female link instructor pilot in Canada. And of course, another Edmontonian on the right is Max Ward, who was a flight instructor during World War II. If you were a flight instructor, if you had flying experience prior to the war, generally they would make you a flying instructor. They would not let you go into combat if you had experience already. They said one of the more important jobs was to train others to fly. So Max Ward was a bush pilot and became a flight instructor, came back to Edmonton, moved up to Yellowknife, started up first Polaris Air Charter, and then of course Ward Air, which became an extremely large airline and mostly headquartered out of Edmonton, eventually Toronto. Of course, this is all black and white photos. It might give you the idea that all of the interesting history of Edmonton and aviation all happened in the past, but no, it's still happening today. And there's many, many more stories to tell. Speaking of local history, this is January 8th, 1927. The guy in the middle is Punch Dickens, who is a famous bush pilot. The guy to his right is Kenny Blatchford, who is the mayor of Edmonton, well, former mayor at this time. And this is the opening of Blatchford Field. So Blatchford Field was the first licensed air harbor in Canada. It's not the first airport, it's the first licensed one in Canada. So it opened here in 1927, largely because of Kenneth Blatchford's work in wanting Edmonton to become an aviation hub. Skip forward a little bit. This is 1943. So when the airport was first built, so this is Kingsway, Princess Elizabeth Avenue, 118th Ave. So 118th Ave used to cut all the way across where the airport is now. And the airport was built essentially just here. In World War II, they expanded the airport greatly. So the Royal Canadian Air Force built a bunch of hangars on the Kingsway side of the airport. So we are currently here. This is where the Chateau Louis is. So all of this land where the Chateau Louis is was also RCAF land. And then where Nate was an American air base. So we had two air bases, a Canadian one and an American one. So these first three hangars were built for the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan, which was a scheme to train pilots and navigators and air gunners and basically every kind of air crew for the Commonwealth. So they come from the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and trained at air bases all across Canada. We had tons of land, we had good weather, we could build the planes locally. So those three were built in 1941, and this square that's kind of blurry that you can't really see is where the Aviation Museum is today. So this is the summer of 1943, and then this is November 18th, 1943, and that's the Aviation Museum there. I point this out because this is when our hangar was actually built. If you read a bunch of historic plaques, it'll say 1941, but no, that's a lie. It was built in 43. So our hangar was built as the maintenance and storage hangar for No. 2 Air Observer School, which trained navigators using Avro Ansons. So I'd like to say that it was extremely important during the war effort, but realistically, it was the storage and maintenance hangar for the airbase. This is a shot from outside the hangar. This is an Avro Anson, which at the time of World War II was an outdated maritime patrol aircraft that they very quickly realized was pretty useless for maritime patrol. But it was slow, it was cheap to build, it was easy to fly, and they figured, hey, let's use it as a trainer. So they converted a bunch of these into trainers and built thousands more across Canada. So this was the standard trainer for like twin engine aircraft and for navigators. So this is the front of the museum. So if you're driving down Kingsway, this is what you would see. So M is the maintenance hangar for No. 2 AOS. After the war, so No. 2 AOS closed in 1944, 1946, with the Cold War heating up. 418 Squadron was reformed here in Edmonton as a reserve squadron flying B-25s. So our hangar became the headquarters for 418 Squadron. So this is again right in the front of the hangar with a B-25 and a reserve squadron. So all of these pilots, half of them are World War II veterans that wanted to continue serving their country. The other half are younger guys that are too young, would have been too young, to fly during World War II. They're all reserve pilots, so they all have regular jobs. They're dentists and lawyers and mailmen, flying on the weekends and the evenings, keeping up their skills in case the Soviets ever invaded. And they could fly this World War II bomber up to northern Canada and bomb the bases as the Soviets invaded, which obviously, thankfully, never happened. So they ended up flying across the country. They would, randomly decide to have a training flight during Grey Cup weekend and then fly to Montreal, stuff like that. So yeah, again, this is the front of the hangar. After 1957, the military moved up to Nemeo. They moved all of the military, including 418 Squadron, to Nemeo, and our hangar was abandoned. The city took ownership. So it was briefly used by Pacific Western Airlines, but the city took ownership in the early 1960s. They didn't really want it. They didn't know what to do with it. So they rented it out to a car dealership. For quite a while, it was a car dealership. A lot of you probably remember driving down and seeing thousands and thousands of cars. And during that time, the building started to deteriorate. So all of these British Commonwealth Air Training Plan hangars were built all across the country, essentially as IKEA kits. Ours is double wide and double long, and there's only two left in Canada. One is set to be demolished very quickly. So ours pretty quickly will be the only double wide, double long hangar left in the country. They were only designed really to last for 7 years because let's just slap a bunch of hangars up to train everybody. We don't need them to be built super nicely, but they're 14-inch by 5-inch blocks of Douglas fir. So they are actually quite strongly built. Meanwhile, the museum was wanting to get started. So the museum getting started is a very long story that started in the mid-60s and basically spun off of Klondike days. They failed, they got tired. They reformed in 1980, and they had a very small group, but no hangar. So finally, they went to the city and they said, hey, Hangar 14 is empty. It's an 80,000 square foot building, and you're not doing anything with it. And we want to start an aviation museum. And the city said, great, you are like 4 people and you have 1 aircraft. No. But if you go and find other aviation groups and other service groups that you want to partner with, then maybe we'll consider it. So the museum got together with the Air Cadets, the Gliding Club, the Soaring Club, veterans groups, 14 other people, and they formed an umbrella organization that rented the hangar. So this is the state of the hangar when the museum moved in 1990. They had to do a lot of work repairing the outside of the building. It had been really deteriorated. So EAHS and the museum put hundreds of thousands of dollars of repair work into the building. They put in a modern sprinkler system to protect the building and the aircraft. And when we opened, it was a pretty bare bones building with just a couple of aircraft, but the public were interested. Since then, the museum has grown to include more than 35 aircraft, some restored, some original. This video is a couple years out of date, so it's even different now if you visit today. But yeah, as you can see, we have civilian planes, World War II planes, jets, helicopters, basically spanning the entire history of Edmonton's aviation story. And as much as possible, all of these aircraft pertain in some way to Edmonton's aviation story, with a few exceptions. A few years ago, after the airport had closed, we realized, well, we don't need to move the aircraft around a lot, and we don't need to worry about aircraft flying in and visiting. So we started building these dioramas around the aircraft. So rather than just a bare aircraft parked in the hangar, we said, you know what, let's build a diorama and tell the story of this aircraft in context. So that's what you see there. All of this work is done by volunteers. Back in 2018, our lease expired. So we had a 25-year lease with the city of Edmonton. They were leasing the hangar for $1 a year. This is about 5 years after the airport closed, and the museum was starting to struggle because we'd really focused our operations on having an active airport, being able to bring aircraft in, visiting aircraft like the Lancaster from Hamilton. And we were starting to bleed money pretty bad. So we had to go to the city for an emergency injunction of funding of about $230,000. And the city said, okay, we're going to bail you out this one time, but you need to look at every single aspect of your organization and your operations and fix it. So we started really focusing in on our operations at that time, and they renewed our lease for 25 years. So we went through with consultants. We looked at every aspect of how we operate, how many staff we have, the role of the board. Previously, the board was very involved in operations. So as we were increasing at staff capacity, we could essentially divorce the board from operations and let them focus on governance and fundraising and let the staff handle operations. So we really worked on figuring out, what makes the museum money so that we could keep operating responsibly. So one of the things that we're really proud of is programming. So we have thousands of students coming every year for field trips. Part of the grade 5 curriculum in Edmonton, or in Alberta, excuse me, is about aviation. So they come and they get a tour, they get to fly our simulators, they get to go in some of the aircraft. We also run homeschool days for homeschool children, day camps, summer camps, community access nights. So we've partnered with organizations like Autism Edmonton so that people can come in when we're closed. It's very quiet. We can dim the lights. It's not overwhelming for people, and bring in, groups that maybe would not be able to visit the museum at other times. More lately, we've been focusing more and more on adult programming. So in the tours, we also have regular tours for adults and seniors, but we've been doing more and more evening lates. So events for mainly young adults that can bring them into the museum during the evening and do fun activities. So we did a night with Ward Air. We had 160 people, props and hops, which is propellers and beer, 204 people, and Blatchford Boogie Woogie, which was a swing band. So it's a 19-piece swing band. We had a swing dance, everybody dressed up in vintage clothing, could go and visit the museum. We'd done Blatchford Boogie Woogie before COVID, but of course COVID killed that. We brought it back this year. If you ever want to attend an event at the museum, Blatchford Boogie Woogie is by far the most fun. And yeah, so we are generating significantly more revenue because of all of these events and these programming. I do want to point out that I obviously work for the museum. There's about 9 of us that do, but we have volunteers who provide about 16,000 hours to the museum every year. They restore all their aircraft, they build our exhibits, they're the board of directors, they help fundraise, they do teach classes, they do tours, they sweep the parking lot. We wouldn't be able to do literally anything if it were not for volunteers, which we are extremely grateful for. So what's the problem? 2022, 4 years after the city renewed our lease and everything was great, they did an engineering study and they said the building needs 20 to 40 million dollars in rehabilitation costs, and we don't want to pay for it. And we looked at the study and we said, the study is kind of ridiculous because you want $600,000 for carpet. Well, we have like 200 square feet of $2 carpet tile carpet in the museum. So we went and we argued and argued and argued, and they said, yeah, that's nice. It doesn't really matter what the number is. We just don't want to pay for any maintenance. So we're going to sell the building. So City Council approved a motion to sell Hangar 14, preferably to a developer. So they really wanted a developer to come in, be able to inject a bunch of money, rehabilitate the building, but somehow keep the museum there, which we argued was going to be extremely difficult and extremely unsustainable. The building is both municipally and provincially designated as a heritage building. The provincial designation is extremely strict, and it's the same designation that the Rossdale power plant has. So you can't tear the building down. You can't do major changes to the building. So for instance, other buildings in the city where they will like essentially gut the interior, put up a high rise and keep the facade. Any developer that would want to come in and do it. So after many, many years of arguing with the city as to like, this is ridiculous, we said, you know what, let's have the museum take over the hangar. Why don't you just sell it to us for $1 and then we'll figure out all the maintenance. So the city said, okay, maybe. Over the last 80 years, there's been a lot of people doing electrical work on the building, and there's wires and conduits and ridiculous stuff everywhere. So we're trying to understand the infrastructure so we know exactly what kind of maintenance the building is going to need in the future. So our finances currently, the last couple of years, we've been running a slight profit. This year, it's a slight deficit. So it's actually a slight profit, but if you account for oops, sorry. That was my bad. Sorry, we made like a $20,000 profit, but if you account for amortization of our assets, like our computers and our tractor and whatnot, it's technically a loss. Now, ignoring amortization, even a $20,000 profit is not going to pay for a whole bunch of maintenance to Hangar 14. So we need to ramp up our operations to be able to take on Hangar 14 and keep it safe. So we hired the same consultants that we did our engineering or financial sustainability study with. They said our current operations are sustainable until 2028, which is when our lease expires and hopefully when we'll be transitioning into ownership. We hired a fundraising company. They said that we have a potential to raise $2 million by 2028. There are some grants available. The city has a matching heritage maintenance grant. So if you spend $500,000 a year, excuse me, if you spend $1 million a year, they will give you $500,000 a year for up to 10 years. So that's $5 million from the city. We've been meeting with the city, we've been meeting with the province, we've been trying to meet with the feds in order to raise, not necessarily money, but raise pledges to support the project. And after many, many years of going back and forth, we signed the sale agreement. So if it is officially approved, we will be buying the hangar for $1. So we need to create a sustainability fund to allow us to take care of the hangar and also able us to continue our operations. So we need to reorganize our infrastructure a little bit. To be honest, we haven't been great at donor relations and fund development. So we're going to hire a specific staff member that can focus their time exclusively on that in work with the board. And we're going to hold more and more fundraising events and donor engagement events. We're going to do more speaking events like this to essentially raise awareness of the museum and help with our fundraising. And then we have some interesting anniversaries coming up, including the anniversary of Blatchford Field and the 85th anniversary of the construction of the hangar. So what are the funding opportunities at the museum? You can sponsor an aircraft. You'll get a bronze plaque in an aircraft exhibit. So this is sponsored by so-and-so or so-and-so's company with a yearly or 5-year renewal. And then other things we're thinking about essentially is, naming certain areas of the museum. So you could have, the ABC company education area that would be sponsored for, or the conference room, stuff like that. So opportunities for companies and individuals to come in and sponsor parts of the hangar or parts of the museum. And of course, we're open to other ideas. So we are having a luncheon as another fundraiser on June 9th, which is Ward Air themed. So if you've ever flown on Ward Air, you know how luxurious it was and what an interesting experience it was. So it'll be an opportunity to kind of relive the Ward Air days and reminisce. I'm definitely out of time. So if anybody has any quick questions, or I'll hang around later if you want to come talk to me.
Questions?
Were Harvards used in Edmonton here because they were kind of common all of southern Alberta?
Barely. So we had 2 training facilities. There was number 16 Elementary Flying Training School and number 2 Air Observer School. So number 16 EFTS, mainly flew target falls. So I think they had maybe 2 Harvards for advanced training, but it was other schools that primarily used Harvards.
The other question is, they were flying from the United States, a lot of planes into Russia, through northern Canada. And some of the pilots were saying that sometimes they had to take off with 2. They were so busy. Is that a little bit made up, or is that
Nope.
what it was?
So for the Lend-Lease program, the United States was sending equipment to the Soviet Union. One of the aircraft, for instance, was the P-39 Airacobra, which the Americans thought was a garbage plane because they removed the turbo supercharger and it had terrible high altitude performance. The Soviets didn't care. They didn't need to escort high altitude bombers. So to get it there, they flew it from New York to Montana up to Edmonton. They winterized it here in Edmonton. So they did some modifications on the tail and then flew it up to Alaska. Soviet pilots picked it up, flew it all the way across. We had 1,200 P-39s fly through Edmonton during World War II. And we're currently restoring one at the museum, which is going to be in Soviet livery to tell that story. During that, Edmonton was the busiest airport in the world for one day. You'll hear that story as like Edmonton was the busiest airport in the world in World War II for literally one day. We had 860 aircraft land in a single day. Overall, it was quite busy, but we have to be realistic. Edmonton is not actually the center of the world, but yes, we were the busiest airport in the world for one particular day.
Any other questions? We also have a Rotary Club of Edmonton West Coffee Cup for when you go back to the office.
Thank you.
And just to highlight, we are close to the airport here, the old airport, I guess, and the hangar. HMCS Nonsuch is where 395 Squadron Air Cadets meet. That's literally right next door that way. Also, I don't know if you've been out in the West End, 156th Street, Stony Plain Road. There's a big billboard for Watt Bay there. That was put up by the Edmonton Mayfield Club a lot of years ago, and that's still on the side of the building. Also in our club, Don Hamilton was a member of our club. And I remember his funeral and the bird dog plane that came across the runway and probably 100 feet off of the Kingsway Avenue, followed by the 4-engine Electra right behind it, which is the water bomber. And so that was kind of an eventful day as well. Bill Young, a former member of our club and past district governor, he was in the Berlin airlift. Colonel Bill Buckham was the base commander at Nemeo. Am I right with that? Yeah. And then Rudy Mangold, who flew for the German Luftwaffe. He spent time in a Canadian POW camp. At the same time, Gord King, a member of ours, spent time in Stalag Luft 17, which is where The Great Escape was filmed, so we have a little connection with air here, and there's a few pilots in the room as well. So, thank you very much for your speech, and I'm gonna call, yes.
Bill Young was also, during the war, was a flying instructor at Penhold, which is where he met his wife Grace.
Mhm.
And then he went on to the Berlin airlift where they had one landing and takeoff every 90 seconds.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the meeting over to John right now. Not that I'm ready to fall on my face or anything, but John will take over the rest of the meeting.
Thanks, Lauren. I'm gonna call Bruce up to do some Paul Harris awards. Bruce.
Thank you, John. One thing, these are things like to celebrate. We like to celebrate a couple of things. One is getting new members in the club, and that'll be happening fairly soon. But the other one is celebrating Paul Harris Fellows. Now, what Rotary has done, for those of us members, contribute to the foundation, the Rotary Foundation, whether it be the general fund, some of the special funds, as well as the polio program. Once you've donated $1,000 US to those funds, Rotary honors you with a Paul Harris Fellow. And Paul Harris was the founder of Rotary back in 1905, for those who don't remember or know about it. So this is a way to recognize your contribution to the foundation. We have 3 recognitions today. First is first Paul Harris Fellow, DeWitt Berg. Thank you. Your certificate and your pin, wear it proudly. Okay.
I get it.
Oh,
I got a picture.
Oh, picture, yeah.
Picture.
Yeah, I told you the fun we had at the meeting, yeah. Okay, secondly, we have, she's new to our club, but not new to Rotary. Myrna Finn is getting her Paul Harris. And that means you've not only got your Paul Harris fellowship, but you've got 2 more $1,000 US contributions to get to the Paul Harris Plus 2. And the last but not least is Al Sanders, and he is now a Paul Harris 2 rubies. That's Paul Harris plus 7. So here you come. Bruce, you go Al. Great, thanks. Yes, and it's nice to know that at the last meeting, board meeting, we have now of our 37 club members, 25 are Paul Harris Fellows. I think we should be very proud of that.
Thank you, Bruce, and thank you and congratulations to Stuart, Myrna, and Al. And now I'm gonna call on Fred to do the fines. What mischief do you have for us now?
Well, I'm gonna be Mr. Nice Guy. I'm not gonna find anybody today. I got something new to show you guys, but who here is happy to be here today? Raise your hand. Okay, that should be a happy buck today. So before you leave, a buck or 2 by the bell, that would be good.
Okay.
So, okay, today we're gonna do, can you hit the lights over there, Stuart, to dim these, please, behind you? Thank you. Visual riddles, okay? And you're gonna have to use the left side of your brain to figure these out. And I'll go around individually. And if you know it, when I'm at an individual spot, please don't shut it out. If he or she doesn't get it, then we'll open up the room and they can do it, all right? So, here, example, city in France. There's the planet Mars, okay? And the word say. So that would be Marseille, okay? Am I going too fast here? Good, all right. Starting with Annie, an easy one, especially for you. A city in the UK.
Oh, yes, okay.
Liverpool.
There we go. Okay. All right, Mike. Town or city in Alberta? Anybody recognize this fellow? This might be hard. I'll give you another one, Mike. This is Tom Cochran, the Canadian musician. Okay, here's another one. A city in Saskatchewan. There we go. Okay, Bob. A city in Ontario. This is a hard one. Okay,
Bubbleberry.
well, think about it.
Gravenhurst.
No, Jim?
I said bubble grape, so that's way.
No, I thought you said Bury. It's Sudbury. Okay, Art. City in Saskatchewan. Yeah. Jim. City in the Maritimes.
It's only so many.
No, that'll be $2 for Dewart.
Town.
And Dewart got it though, it was Digby. Okay, Bruce,
What is it?
Digby,
Oh.
Bruce, city in BC.
Sound arms.
Yes. See, this is why I'm not finding people. Some are easy, some are hard. Town in Alberta, where am I at? Dewart. There we go. All right. City in Alberta, Jim.
Medicine Hat.
Very good. Now, this is a tough one. City in BC.
Prince George.
Yeah, Prince George. There's Prince.
Yeah.
And there's George Foreman.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Starting with Mr. Solos now. Town or city? Oh, shit. What could it be, Doug? Red Chuck. All right, here's another one. City in Manitoba.
Winnipeg.
Very good. Winnie the Pooh, a peg.
That's where it's from.
Brent? Country in Africa.
Ivory Coast. He said it.
Ivory Coast? Somebody said it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Coast, yeah. That's a country.
Okay, Ryan. Country in Europe.
Poland.
Very good. That stranger in the back there, Daryl.
Say. What's the color? Yellow.
Oh, yeah.
Part of some rod.
Yes, that was, okay. John. City in Quebec.
Oh. There.
Very good. Al. City in the Maritimes.
2,000 pounds.
Moncton.
Very good, yes. Ben. City in Manitoba. Portage la Prairie. Okay. Myrna. City in Ontario. This is a good one. Waterloo. Okay, Lauren. City in Saskatchewan.
Scale fire? No. Vapor. Oh. Yeah, man.
Weyburn.
Oh, yeah, scale. Yeah.
Town in Alberta.
White Court.
Yes. All right. There was a lot of cheating going on, so everybody put a buck or two up here, please. Okay, I got a few left, so just shout it out when you know it. Anybody? Okay. Saskatchewan City.
Who's she? Somebody famous is it?
Swift Current. Manitoba Town. Very good. Alberta Town. Town in Alberta. No, it's not a crankshaft. Camrose, yes. Now this is tough. Town in Alberta.
Horsby.
Oh! I didn't think anybody would get that. Country in South America.
Chile.
Correct. City in India.
Bombay.
Okay, this is my favorite one.
City and Northwest.
too.
Very good. That's Tim Horton on the left for those who. And that's it.
That was great.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Thank you. That's very excellent. Challenging. So coming events. You can see them up here. We've got a number of volunteer events coming up next week. At the food bank on May 5th, painting a chrysalis on June 9th. And then we're on for our luncheon speakers in May 11th, which is right now open, and May 25th.
Did I mess up that slide? Is it May 9th or June 9th? At Chrysalis.
Chrysalis is May 9th.
May 9th. Sorry.
What did I read?
It says June 9th because that's what I put.
May 9th.
That's May
My
9th.
bad.
Sorry.
May 9th.
Yeah, so 2 next week.
Yeah.
Anything else we're missing? And no.
Integrity Awards.
Integrity Awards on the 7th. Do we have a table? We've got a table.
We have a
full.
table reserved.
Yeah,
District conference.
district conference.
In Whitehorse.
Yeah,
As registration ceases and has moves.
anything else? Okay,
Are we clean up?
anything else for the good of Rotary?
May 31st is highway cleanup.
Oh, okay.
Do we get a show of hands to it? How many people are going to Whitehorse for the district conference? Oh, excellent.
2, 3, 6. Indoors going to. Always.
So anything else for the good of Rotary?
I'll make a quick one. I got these cake around on the table for June 9th for the legacy dinner at the, it's gonna be right here, as a matter of fact, at the Chateau. The purpose of the dinner, it's the start of our fundraising that Ryan had talked about. And the two main features that we're looking for to raise funds, first off, if you take a walk over by the museum, you'll notice that the city has dedicated a great deal of time and effort to making the front of the hangar look like it was painted in 1943. It wasn't, but it needs to be redone, so that's probably gonna cost $40,000 to $50,000. The city annually spends about $35,000 on on the whole building. So it's one of those things where self-help and promotion of the museum will be at our expense. Similarly, Ryan had mentioned there were 117 minor defects in the Warren Trust building. And we're ultimately gonna have to pay for those as well. So that's all part of the exercise to sustain the building. So the luncheon itself will be held right here. It's a obviously you're familiar with the Chateau home, so it's gonna be very good quality. And it's acknowledging the work of Ward Air and so on, so that Ken Brown, I don't know if the name rings a bell to any of you or not, but he was a very active participant in the Fringe. And he's been working the Fringe for 35, 40 years where he plays, and his most significant one that you might have found was Life After Hockey. So it's been produced a number of times, and it's in a I think. So he's gonna do, if any of you went to a Billy Bishop Goes to War, he's going to do a 20-minute presentation on Max Ward in the style of Billy Bishop Goes to War. So I'd be delighted to see you, any of you, or all of you there. There's a sponsorship available. It's gonna be about $90 a person. Obviously, it's a fundraiser because lunch isn't worth $90, but we're looking to raise a few dollars to help feed from the village. Thank you.
What was the date again, please?
9th of June, Thursday, at lunch, 12 to 1:30.
Okay, thank you. So will you join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. You got money.
Where do we? Jackets are available through his bar.
Great to see you down there.
Nice presentation. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's great.
What I'll do is set up a call with you.
Okay.
Regards.
Most of the projects that I
See if I got it right. I just want to sort of highlight, here's, you run a deficit, you did this, and then, you know, are there things you want to add?
Okay.
So I'll just, see it.
I mean, I hire my crew, we get it typically, I will open the new project.
Yeah, and that would be the next step. I just wanted to, you know, for people who haven't been part of the board, here's a little bit of orientation, and see if I got it right.
Okay.
This is also a test for me.
Okay.
Have I understood what I'm doing?
Sounds great.
And then, you know, youth century.
Oh, never mind. I thought I was looking for that. Got it.